I seem to be having all the thrash albums.
Which is fitting. That's your area.
But this is an American band. Again, New Renaissance Records. If I'm not mistaken, it was New Renaissance. Yeah, New Renaissance Records. Now, At War, an American band. These guys have a very unique sound. I remember people calling them B-grade Slayer. They don't. It's not B-grade Slayer.
I remember when these guys came out. I was interested in them.
It's Slayer meets Motorhead, with a bit of Venom in the sound, not in the lyrics. Lyrics are exactly what you expect from the cover. Order to Kill, the military stuff. It's all military-based stuff. And
what's the name? At War.
At
what
War.
else are you going to sing about?
Freaking
cranberries
awesome
and ice cream.
This is actually their first album. This thing, it's just spectacular if you ask me. I love At War. I'm sure you guys, if you watch my channel for any time, you've probably seen. Actually, I have an At War video, which I'll try remember to put a link to above.
Now, they had a demo out prior to this.
A demo, yes.
Yeah.
And I have the demo.
I remember that because I used to see it in whatever metal magazines I was seeing, like Kerrang or whatever. I remember seeing, that's a cool logo, At War.
Yep.
With the skulls on the A's.
I kind of describe this as machine gun riffing. You know, that real quick, I don't know what you call it, palm muting, or that real quick...
the staccato?
Yeah, on the E string, mostly, where you're just... I mean, it's real quick down picking, and then so you get that kind of heavy sound. But it's not heavy because it's down tuned. It still has that standard tuning, or maybe it might be E flat or something like that. But it's not the crappy Z flats
right.
everybody's doing now.
They're just playing the piss out of it.
Yeah, they're writing heavy riffs. That's how I describe the difference between like all these metalcore bands that are all playing all this. It sounds heavy, but they're toned down like 3, 4 freaking steps.
And there's a way to play down tune music that's great.
Right.
And there's that whole gent thing, the gent, and they can only play like riffs that have like 2 beats at a time or something. It's just.
Whereas this is more, it's a tighter. That's why I call it machine gun riffing, because it's very tight. I don't know if you call it staccato, but
these are accomplished players. I mean, it was not easy to play.
It was not easy style. It was not only was it not easy. It took talent. It also took a bit of strength to play a full show of this stuff.
Especially down picking.
Playing
fast down picking is like holy shit.
Yep. So yeah, At War, Order to Kill, great album, 1986. I mean, come on, look at the back cover. You got your Rick and Bastard.
Oh, and the BC, Black Widow.
The Black Widow, BC Rich. I love those guitars, man. Anyhow.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is totally a different end of the spectrum.
I like this album too, though.
Oh, I was big into this album when it came out. Eat 'em and Spa by David Lee Roth. I mean,
I would call it the best album Van Halen ever recorded that Van Halen didn't record.
Yeah, I mean, what a friggin' supergroup this was too. I mean, David Lee Roth, the perennial frontman, with Steve Vai, who at the time was probably one of the best, most sought-after guitar players. And Billy Sheehan, who was the same with the bass. It was like 2 of the biggest names in stringed instruments playing together. Greg Bissonette was a little bit more unknown, but he held his own for sure.
Yep.
I loved this album. It's a little dated now, but it's still very, very good. I mean, Yankee Rose was a pretty big hit on MTV. Yep. Shy Boy was a borrowed Talus track from Billy Sheehan's old band, which was just
It's a fast one, man.
It was. It was a good tune, and it had a lot of him showing off what he could do with bass.
Yeah. And I actually like their version better. I actually like the Roth version better.
It is. It's way tighter than the original one. And there's a lot of David Lee Roth's lounge tendencies on here. I'm Easy, Ladies Night in Buffalo. They did a great cover of Tobacco Road on here.
Yep, exactly.
Elephant Gun was a good song. It was definitely David Lee Roth's solo album, but damn, he had some great players along for the ride.
And it was great songwriting. And the covers were. It was, like I said, one of the best Van Halen records that Van Halen didn't record.
I mean, he definitely came out and said, "Look, I can do this on my own."
Yep, he tried. He had to show up a band who was on the top.
Yeah, and granted, that band went a whole different direction without him.
But I would put this album against anything that Van Halen recorded
pretty much
after Roth left.
Now, they never quite measured up to this first one, though.
David Lee Roth?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, he never quite got this again. It's like he staked his territory, and then I don't know what happened.
Skyscraper was decent. It just wasn't as good as...
It was okay. Yeah. Wasn't as exciting, but that's all right.
Speaking about guys striking out on their own.
Yes, sir.
This album I played to death when it came out. Loved it because I was a huge fan of Kiss. This is the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and he had left Kiss. Everybody knows the story of his super spiked ego. formed a new band with
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit. With Dana Strum and
You mean Gene couldn't take Vinnie's ego?
I guess not. But anyhow, the sound here doesn't sound like Kiss, even though some of these songs were demoed for Kiss. Like Boys Are Gonna Rock, I believe it was, right? Boys Are Gonna Rock was a, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was maybe Animal. Anyhow, there's demos of some of this old stuff. But this is super.
Wow, that guy's super pretty, isn't he?
Well, that's Rob Rock. That's drummer Rob. What was it? Rob Rock, who played on with Nelson, and he played with Nitro. So
he's got his spandex like painted on there.
He literally has his spandex painted on. They come to a certain area and it's literally painted onto his body.
Like, come on, man.
Oh, I don't know. But
I mean, now
Dana Strum is just a badass bass player.
Now Dana Strum went on to do Slaughter with Mark Slaughter, but
Mark Slaughter.
Is that Mark Slaughter or no?
No, that's the singer, and that was one of the replacement singers in Journey for a little while. And he only sang on the record. He didn't do the tour.
Mark Slaughter came in after him.
Correct.
All right, which basically then spun off into Slaughter the band.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean the vocals through the roof. I mean, shattering glass, high pitched.
I do remember that.
The guitar solos, insane. People accuse him of slowing down the tapes and playing his guitar solos and speeding it back up. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Who cares? It's freaking awesome. And there's a drum solo in here. There's just a bunch of cannons going off, and almost sounds like what song was that? I can't remember anymore. Or was it on the second album? It might have been on the second album. Yeah, it was on the second album. Sorry, but because those two albums are basically almost the same. But yeah, they were definitely pretty boys.
What was the second album called?
All Systems Go.
And I'm not familiar with them. I don't know them.
But I mean, the funny thing is I love the Vinnie Invasion. When they went and did the Slaughter thing, the only song I'd ever heard was that Angels song, that ballad, and I was like,
Slaughter was one band I could not friggin' stand.
You know what?
Not even a little.
Me either. But then I went to see. They opened up for Ted Nugent. It was Ted Nugent, Night Ranger, and Slaughter. And Slaughter got on stage, and they were just like freaking awesome. And I was like. They were heavy, they were up there rocking, they were having a good time, they had great interaction with the audience, and I was like, man, these guys are good.
I mean, it was never a fact of were they talented musicians or were they good showmen. It was, the art did nothing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the vocals were so friggin' squeaky high that they drove me nuts. And it was all, good time party rock, blah, 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 which I was never really into.
Well, I became a fan after seeing them live. Then I got to meet them a couple years later when they were touring with Cinderella. And again, it was Cinderella, Poison, and Slaughter. Slaughter guys were so nice, man. I had won backstage passes from the local radio station. They came back, everybody signed every little piece of paper you threw at them. Of course, I brought my Vinnie Vincent records.
That's cool.
I was the only one because he's like, oh, you're old school.
Of course he is.
So anyhow.
So
anyhow, they were nice guys. But yeah, this is extreme metal. Different sort of extreme. It's not thrash. It's extreme on the pop end. Same with Nitro. It was just like the guitar playing is insanely fast.
Jeez.
The vocals are insanely high. It's just
it was too much of a good thing for me.
It was pushing it to the extreme.
I just want you to remember this guy.
You can never unsee that now.
Go to bed with him in your mind.
Now on this tour, this band opened for the band that he's going to show.
Oh, did they? Oh, and one final word on Slaughter. I just used to like to take the piss. I always call them Slafter. That was my little, I hate you guys. All right, yeah, so this is a massive comeback album.
Massive.
For Alice Cooper getting back into the heavier territory, Constrictor. And he kind of had a partnership with Jason from Friday the 13th movies on these, and he did a song for it. He's back, Man Behind the Mask. That was a big one on this one. Throw My Gorilla was one of my favorites on this. I mean, the great thing about Alice was he could just crack me up because his sense of humor was so subtle on some of the stuff, but it was just so damn funny. I mean, some of the lyrics he had were just great.
I think it's still true today, this day on this stuff.
Oh, great stuff. Teenage Frankenstein was another one on here. It was a big one.
Wasn't that a part of a movie soundtrack too for Teenage Frankenstein? Wasn't that on the in that movie?
I think He's Back was part of Friday the 13th at the time.
Right, but I think Frankenstein might have been on that movie too.
Teenage Frankenstein, or are you thinking Feed My Frankenstein? Because that was in Wayne's World. And
Feed My Frankenstein.
That's what because I was confused for a second. The World Needs Guts. That was another one I dug off of this one. just it's typical Alice Cooper. It was well done, and it was a return to form. It was much heavier than his previous 3 albums, which were really kind of new wave and experimental and kind of drug lost. Actually, I loved them. I loved those albums, but the one just prior to this, Dada, he doesn't even remember recording it, according to interviews that I've read. And it's out there. It's a definitely out there album for Alice Cooper. And that's like out there meaning
And for me, I like those albums now. I can't say that I loved them when they first came out.
I will say Flush the Fashion I did.
Oh, and I did too.
Flush the Fashion I loved. To me it was like, this is a companion for the Cars or something. It was totally new wave.
I love the version of Clones too.
Yep. Great one.
Anyhow.
So that is actually a good album. Then
They,
it followed up with an even heavier one, Raise Your Fist and Yell, which had, Kane Roberts was on there with his guitar, his machine gun guitar, and the big Lou Ferrigno physique.
I actually got to meet, I didn't get to meet Alice Cooper, but the bands came to Rochester where I was going to college, and the House of Guitars was a huge thing out there. And that Vinnie Vincent was there, and they were signing autographs and stuff like that, and so I got to meet those bands back then. It was pretty cool. Oh yeah, see I'm next, right? Let me get a drink real quick.
You're
Cheers.
next.
Alright.
How's it so far?
So anyhow, I talked about Omen being the Metal Blade House Band, and the other band I said I always thought of as the Metal Blade House Band was Lizzy Borden. Now Lizzy Borden, just again, straightforward American heavy metal with a bit of a commercial edge.
But also like a shock rock kind of approach.
Very shock rock.
Definitely.
Their stage show, even back then, was awesome. I saw them opening for Wasp, and I'm a huge Wasp fan. I saw them opening for Wasp, and after seeing Lizzy Borden, I was just so blown away. Wasp was a disappointment.
Interesting.
And I
can see those two fitting well together.
Oh
Definitely.
man, watching Lizzy, he does this like thing where he's like this with this, and every time he did this, he had a different mask on. I'm like, how the hell he was doing that? It was cool as crap, man. But anyhow, I love this album. I love all the Lizzy Borden stuff because they never really moved away from the sound.
No,
Lizzy were Lizzy, And
I remember they're one of the. I remember their live. Was it the Murderous Metal Roadshow? Exactly. Double live album, and they attempted to do one of the first covers of "Live and Let Die" by Wings that I ever heard, and nobody could really ever cover that song correctly because they forgot about the orchestral parts, and it was so integral to the sound of it that the guitars just couldn't measure up. But they tried it, and I was like, damn, that's pretty cool.
We got Joey Scott, which is Lizzy's brother on drums, and then the guitar player who passed away a few years ago was Alex Nelson. Yeah.
And my friend Angel Ferraris actually was married to him when he died, and so I have a little soft spot for these guys because I know Angel.
But yeah, just again, American heavy metal, obviously inspired by what was going on in the early '80s and the new wave of British heavy metal sound, but very unique vocals too. I mean, Lizzy has his own sound.
He was a character, and he was trying to bring like an Alice Cooper character, or later like Marilyn Manson tried to do, or Rob Zombie. It was that kind of like insane kind of madman character.
Or Wasp,
or Ozzy,
It's just unfortunately didn't happen for them to the level that it did for those guys. No. Although they were hugely popular in the West Coast over there. Just never kind of got the large fame that a lot of the bands got. I'm trying to think if there's any huge tracks in there to people. And the Bloody Mary, that was one of their Notorious. That's another one of their songs. Yeah. Anyhow, excuse me. Sorry.
All right. Okay. Now I get to talk about a thrash album. Now this was a thrash band, just one of the noisiest ones I'd ever heard. For some reason I hooked right onto them, loved them, in no small part due to the artwork of Away, the drummer. Voivod. This was their follow-up to War and Pain, which was one of my favorite albums of like '84. So this one's just called Roar.
A great name.
And it's got all, now their Voivod, who is like this vampire of the Arctic wasteland kind of a character. Now he's appearing in the form of like a tank. A killing machine. And when you have songs like Korgo the Exterminator and Fuck Off and Die and Ripping Headaches, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting. Voivod were noisy as hell, fast, growly, but they were twisted too, and that's what I liked about them. They had a song in the first album called Suck Your Bone. I was in love with them. I was like, suck your bone, that's awesome. Suck bone. I just loved them, always have, and when they went full-on progressive, I loved them even more.
Yeah, and actually, over the years, I've grown to love the progressive stuff actually more than the thrash stuff.
Yes.
But I still love that record.
Well, they were just so different, so creative, so they were just unique. among a bunch of bands who kind of sounded real similar.
Right, I mean,
just had,
really, like I was saying, Sodom, Creator, Destruction, they kind of had a sound, those three bands had a sound that was very similar.
Who else sounded like VOIVOD?
Nobody. That's exactly true.
And that's true today as they continue. They still have their own sound. And that's, to me, those are the bands I like the best. Bands that forge their own sound. If the band has a sound that I dig, I really don't care what kind of songs they write. I'm going to like them. You know, and all my favorite bands, that's the common thread. And VOIVOD is one that's a little bit different because, again, I wasn't as big into the thrash stuff, but these guys always, I like them.
And they look cool as crap on the back cover.
I mean, look at that. That VOIVOD Skull and Crossbones logo is just one of many that Away, the drummer, has done. And I think his real name's Michael Langevin, right? Or Michel Langevin.
And again, we've lost another one here.
Yeah, Piggy, the guitar player, who really was he was there the whole time. Him and Away were there the entire time. Blackie, the bass player, left and came back and left again. The singer
left and came
Dennis
back.
Belanger left and came back. He left. There was a period where they were three-piece with a bass player singer, which is a little bit different sound that they had, but it was a return to a heavier.
I liked it. I have those on vinyl too.
Yeah. So VOIVOD really class act all the way through. And they handled it really well when Piggy died. They did 2 posthumous albums that he played on after he died.
Using his old demos and stuff,
yes.
right?
Yes, and from what I remember hearing, he died of cancer, some kind of cancer. And he was on basically in his hospital bed with his laptop working out these albums before he died. And so how can you not have respect for him?
He was a diehard till the end, man. Yep,
definitely cool. Love those guys.
Great record. All right, there's a lot of thrash in this one.
Yep. Well, I mean, we're right in the thick of it. I think.
Thrash.
This was the thrash era for sure.
86, definitely. Yeah, thrash was huge. It stayed that way all the way up to like 1990, 91, something like that. So,
definitely.
But this is actually an EP, even though it has 8 songs. HIRAX. It's an
8-song EP.
and it's 8-song EP because the songs are so fast, and it's like, okay, now the later albums from HIRAX when Glenn Rogers joined were definitely more thrash, and again they had that. Glenn Rogers has a sound.
Yeah.
And he gave them a great sound that they continue with to this day even after Glenn's gone. But these early albums are more of a crossover sound.
Yes, they definitely. I saw HIRAX before their first album even came out, and the thing that impressed the hell out of me, one, was Keaton DePena. He's a black dude. You didn't see a lot of black dudes in metal, period. In a thrash band, like a hardcore thrash band, definitely the pre-crossover stuff. But he sang. He had a voice that you could tell it was strong. He wasn't just screeching like this throat shredding crap.
Right.
He actually had a voice under there.
And he still sings to this day. He still does HIRAX. And I met him, and man, what a nice guy. And he is another guy who's just a metalhead through and through, just, metal.
Definitely. I dug HIRAX. I had their first album. I didn't hear this one, but because I saw them, I picked up the first album.
And the first album is just a basic continuation of the first album. Basically the same band members, same sound. If you've heard Bombs of Death off of the Metal Massacre.
Bombs of Death, it's a virgin from the sky.
Exactly.
Nuclear war, get ready, prepare to die. And it was clean like that. It wasn't just a.
Yeah.
That's the sound track.
That's the sound you're going to get here. So,
I want to check that one out.
That's actually the reissue. I think I have 2 copies of this. I have an original pressing, and then I have the reissue on Black Devil Records.
All right, so it's still the original band on this one. How long did that band lineup stay together?
They only did those 2 albums.
Okay, I definitely want to check that one.
Then they broke up. Keaton went on to join the band with Metallica member, the bass player. What's his name?
Ron McGovney?
Ron McGovney. The 2 of them did an album together.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they put a thrash album out together with name is escaping me at the moment. I have it on 10-inch and whatever. I'll try
I had no idea. How long after? How long?
It was right after this. It was right after that was released.
I had no idea.
And then after that, he reformed HIRAX. It was much later, They did an EP and some demos, and then eventually Glenn Rogers joined, and that's when it
Now, is Glenn still in the band?
No, Glenn has not been in the band for quite a few years now, almost a decade now.
But Glenn is back with Deliverance?
Glenn plays on the new Deliverance record, which is coming out, I mean, again, I sound like I'm doing a commercial, but it's going to be released on Rox Records, and it's a Deliverance. It is a thrash album.
Cool.
And
It's called.
He didn't write anything on it though, so you don't hear Glenn. But Glenn's got a distinct sound. I can always tell when he's written a song. He played on an album that got not too long ago, from a year or two ago, and he wrote half the songs in there, and I can always tell that's a Glenn song. That's cool. A Glenn song because he has that sound.
Right.
Kind of like Tony Iommi, where you can just, that's a Tony Iommi riff.
Right.
I kind of hear that with Glenn, and he gave HIRAX that sound, and when he left, they're still doing that sound.
Oh, cool.
So, but yeah, he's with Deliverance, and he was with Heretic for a little while. Did an album with them, and now he's back with Deliverance, and then he's got his own band that he's working on as well.
He didn't play with Avenger of Blood, did he?
Avenger of Blood? No, he did not.
Okay.
He played with Steel Vengeance.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he played with Steel Vengeance. He played with Vengeance Rising before they were called Vengeance Rising.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're up to an interesting
Oh, yeah.
one now. Okay.
So one of them we put in because we had to.
Well, yeah, well, it's 86, but we were just talking about this before, how Atlantic Records was guilty of pushing some of their metal artists towards a more commercial sound for the brainless masses. Yeah, definitely did that with Raven. And I think with Raven, it was really hard for their longtime fans to swallow.
It was for me, man. I was just like...
I mean, I was so like, even just by the cover, it's like...
Raven were like so... I mean, they had this sound that was just like so gut-wrenching. It was just...
They were a ferocious, high-energy band.
Metal band, yeah. And this was Atlantic Records pushing them to look and sound like Twisted Sister Stay Hungry.
Okay, so Wacko, the original drummer in the middle, Rob Hunter, he used to wear the hockey helmet because he was so mental on the drums he would hurt himself, so he wore the helmet. Well, apparently Atlantic thought that was a cool thing to do, so what did they do? They went too far with it. They got Mark Gallagher's wearing catcher's knee pads, and they got shoulder pads on John Gallagher, and it's all silver and glittery, and it's like not Raven, just not even close to Raven.
Again, it's Atlantic pushing for what they thought everybody was into at the time.
And they had a second one, right? Stay Hard.
That was before this one.
Okay, that's right. Stay Hard was the original,
which was
push for commercialism,
but it wasn't anywhere near this. It was still sounding like Raven. It was just tamed a little bit.
Right. Now, at some point this year, Raven realized how they kind of swallowed Atlantic shit and really went against their own.
And then Atlantic didn't even give them any push for it.
Right, they didn't push the album at all. So Raven came back with one of my favorite releases that they've ever done.
The EP, yep.
The Mad EP, and it's just it's a real quick one. It's 5 tracks, but it's Speed of the Reflex is the opener, and it's
one of the best Raven songs ever.
Yes, it's one of my
favorite. It's such a great song.
It's such a great song, and the title and the look on Mark Gallagher's face is just that. Oh my God, we were so stupid.
And they're
pissed. Why did we fall for this bullshit?
Right, they were pissed because, hey, we changed our sound because you told us to, and you told us you're going to do this, this, and this for us.
And not only did it not work, you alienated most of our fans.
And it backfired.
And now we've got to clean up the mess. So, and they've done well because they never went back to that bullshit, nor have they ever been on like a major label like Atlantic anymore. And quite frankly, I don't think they give a damn anymore. Because Raven's still going strong. They're still touring the world. They're still just
as great music.
Yeah, they're still as manic as they ever were. They got Joe Hasselvander on the drums, and they have for years now.
Although he's not touring with them right now.
He's not?
He's too sick.
Oh, I thought he was sick. But Joe was a great drummer. I mean, the original drummer, no, not the original drummer in Pentagram, but the longtime classic.
The classic lineup. Yeah.
So Raven, Mad, love it. Love it. I put it up against pretty much any of their earlier albums, and that includes All for One, the classic. I love it. I think it's a great one. It's just enough, and the songs are just good enough to really stick in your craw. It's a great release.
I'm actually working on a video, I'm not sure if it'll be coming out before or after this video, but my favorite EPs of the 80s. Because there's just something about EPs in the 80s that
there were a lot of cool ones.
They had great songs on them, and they were just enough to leave you wanting for more. They didn't overstay their welcome.
Yep, and that was the one thing that when everything shifted to CDs, it was like, it's like the albums expanded to fill the available space, just like most things will. Nature hates a vacuum. But the problem is they now there's 15, 16 tracks per CD, but they weren't necessarily great tracks.
Right, Whereas here, they might have written 15 or 16 songs, but they only put the best ones.
Yeah.
And they had a producer telling them, you know, that song sucks, that song sucks.
Yep.
But hey, this is awesome. Yeah, anyhow.
That's what I always liked about bands like St. Vitus. They would put out 6 or 7 song albums, but they were always good songs, and they kept your attention throughout. They didn't lose you because they tried to shove too many songs just because they could onto the space available.
I remember when I got this album the first time, because I was a huge Raven fan, and first of all, they had Give Me Some Lovin' on here, which is just a freaking atrocious
Spencer
cover.
Davis.
Oh,
Great song.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with the song, but it was just like...
But it just didn't fit.
Yeah, it didn't fit. And then I was like, all right, Hyperactive, that's gotta be a, speed of the... It's gotta be a great song, and it's got a freaking horn section in it.
It's not a cover of the Thomas Dolby song.
No, it was just a huge disappointment. And if you ask John Gallagher, or if you go into, I don't know if it's still up, but on the Raven site, he had little comments on all the albums and what he thought about different stuff. And he basically admits, you know, it was a bad idea.
Which is cool. A lot of bands can't do that. They can't admit it when they made a mistake. And even, well, I mean, you know, like something like Celtic Frost, Tom Warrior's very outspoken about the fact that he hates Cold Lake. He thinks it's abomination. That's what he calls it. Okay, I love it. I think it's a great. I'd rather hear Celtic Frost's Abominations
than
up against
girls.
Exactly. You know, their Abomination is better than a lot of bands' best effort. But you know, I digress.
All right,
your turn.
My turn. Christian metal was starting to get a little more prolific this time. This is another pure metal release. This is Messiah Prophet. Master of the Metal. Always loved the cover art.
Yeah, good solid metal album.
Not only the what it is. I mean, it's a guy basically hammering a guitar out of rock, molten rock, which is just so cool looking.
Yep.
But I actually like the painted style too.
It is. It's like a very classic metal looking cover, and it's got a classic metal sound.
And it's a very good metal sound, and the songs are memorable. The guitar playing's well done. This is the best thing they ever recorded, because the album that came before this was. They're actually called the Messiah Prophet Band.
Right.
What it was with all the Christian bands back in this. Anyhow,
There was
Rock the
Flock.
It was it was okay. It was not really metal. It was more of a weak hard rock sound. With this, they captured the metal sound. They sound like a metal band. They look like a metal band, with the exception of the drummer, who looked like a retired porn star.
What?
I gave this album to my wife the other day when we were going through.
He's got the bow tie. Yeah, that didn't help.
I gave my wife this album the other day. My wife's not a metal fan at all. I said, one of these things, not like the other. And she said, look at it. She goes, what? And she sees it.
The bow tie!
I don't know if you can see the drummer there, but he's the only guy with short hair. He's bald, and he's got the bow tie on. And, I mean, it's just, I can accept it, what he's doing. They're just trying to have that larger than life stage look. But it's just, you're looking back now, come on, it's fun. It's fun.
It is. And the 80s was one of the biggest eras for that. You know, people just going over the top, and it just not quite working.
Yeah, no. But it was fun. I mean, at least they got up on stage and they attempted to put on a show. It wasn't just get up and stare at your sneakers and
right. And I was not familiar with this band. This is another band I didn't hear until probably year 2000 or so, the second time around. But I liked it. I liked it when I did finally hear it, and it's definitely their best. Yeah, they had, I think, one more after.
They had another one after called Colors, with none of these guys on it. It was totally different members. Yeah, and it was like melodic rock. It was total departure from sound. They really should have been in a different name, because it wasn't even the same guys.
So this is really the apex of their work.
Yep.
Rock the Flock, a couple of memorable moments maybe, but
anyhow,
not as good as this.
And this is again on another pure metal release.
Sam,
I actually bought this as a new release.
Saint was on pure metal too, right?
I was in college at the time. Yep. And I walked into a Christian store, you know, being the metalhead I was, and because I knew they had that demo section, you know, and I would go check out whatever metal they had, and I picked this one up. I picked up Saint.
See, I wasn't a Christian until '91.
I wasn't a Christian either. You
weren't?
No, I grew up in a Christian home. I grew up going to church, but I didn't become a Christian until '87.
Okay. You see, I didn't until at least '91.
But I had nothing against the music. If it was good metal, I'd buy it. So and I bought this. I bought Saint. And anyhow, this was actually, there was a band called Driver that was out that kind of fell apart. And this was what became of Driver. This was the Mars project.
This is another band that Fenholt was involved in prior to the actual album coming out. And I do have a demo proving that he was part of it.
This is McAlpine, Aldridge, Rock, and Sarzo. So you got Rudy Sarzo, who at this time was already well known for his part in
Quiet Riot and
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yep. Wasn't yet in Whitesnake.
You got the awesome vocalist and Rob. The guy's just got a voice. I mean, he's just
And Rob Brock, yeah, amazing. And this is long before I knew who he was. Like before he joined Warrior, before he had his solo stuff.
yeah.
Great singer.
And then of course Tommy Aldridge again, Ozzy.
Yep. And Black Oak Arkansas.
And Pat Travers band.
Yep.
So these are all guys who are really well known. And then of course the guitar player is Tony McAlpine.
And Tony McAlpine was one of those shrapnel guitar god guys, and those guys all kind of started spreading their wings a bit and playing with guys who are in the mainstream. You
Right.
know,
So what you got here is an 1986 album on Shrapnel Records.
Yep.
Mars Project. You got very solid, straightforward, but melodic heavy metal.
Yep.
Great album. I love the vocals. I think Rob Brock's one of my favorite singers of that style. He's just so
definitely.
strong.
He's got a super strong. And if you've never heard him, pick up The Code of Life by Warrior, because
Oh,
oh my
brilliant.
god,
Yep.
he's amazing on that record.
Or even the first Impolitary EP. That's another one. He's just
Yep, that's right. He was on that one.
so anyhow. Yeah.
Original name of this band actually was Driver.
Driver.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's when Fenn Holt was involved, and they changed it to Mars.
And Driver got back together and have released some of the recordings they did, and they've actually recorded a newer album in the 2000s.
Who's in the band now?
Rob Rock sang for him. It was the
okay.
original guitar player. I can't remember all the names, but anyway.
Okay, cool, interesting stuff. I remember when it came out. It was just part of that whole glut of guitar gods that just got old fast, and I think I had a lot of guitar player friends who were really into
The
it.
whole shred instrumental stuff. What is it called? Instrumental, right?
Yeah, and I think it kind of started with Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie was like the big, and then there was this whole wave of just guitar god after guitar god, and I was into it at first. I was into Vi and Satriani and all that stuff. That's got my favorite cover.
Yep.
But it just got old.
I brought this along just to show because I love this picture.
Sweet. All right, here we got one. This is another more of a